Okay, let's talk a little bit about the different dependency injection frameworks that exist. And well, there are quite a few in .NET because the idea of dependency injection is over a decade old. It started out almost after .NET itself got started. So the oldest DI framework is Casa Windsor. It's at least when I looked at it over a decade ago, it used to be XML configuration based, but I'm pretty sure it kind of walked into the modern kind of mindset in terms of using just code first configuration. Another popular container is a structure map. Then we also have AutoFac. That's the container that we're going to be using in this particular course. One container that I've used for several years is Unity, which is made by Microsoft. It was actually part of the Microsoft Enterprise Library, if I spell it correctly. I think that's what it's called. At the moment, Microsoft has kind of thrown it into the open source area, which means it's not maintained. Nobody's taking care of it. Another container is called Ninject. And there are plenty of other frameworks out there. Of course, you can always do a DI container yourself, at least a simple one you can easily build, and that's something that is a good exercise generally. Although, given that we have very mature containers, I don't see much point, unless, of course, you don't really need all of the functionality which modern DI frameworks provide, in which case go ahead and roll your own. So we're going to go with AutoFac for this entire course, and there are several reasons why I chose this container. It was a thought out decision. So first of all, AutoFac is actively developed and maintained. And I mean, my criteria for checking out whether I should use a framework is I go to the GitHub page and I see when was the last update. And if I go to the AutoFac GitLab page, well, GitHub page, right now I'm going to see updates which have been in the last week. So that means somebody's actually working on it. And if I do hit a problem with AutoFac, I can post a bug and have some sort of chance of somebody responding to it. Now, it is an open source technology. It's not something that's provided with commercial support, and that goes for all of the other DI frameworks as well. So that's something to actually watch out for, in the sense that you don't get commercial support for those. So another benefit of AutoFac is it's very well documented, so you can read the documents. They're very nicely laid out, and that is a good indication of people taking care of their DI framework and making sure that it's actually usable and understandable by people. The support for the different technologies, kind of integration with different technologies for AutoFac is very large. So it works with .NET, ASP.NET, WCF, .NET Core, ASP.NET Core, SignalR, and a zillion other things. And we have an entire section of this course dedicated to actually talking about the different frameworks and how AutoFac supports those specific frameworks. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Another thing is that AutoFac is modular and extensible. It actually has a great module system for kind of putting the different configurations together into one single configuration and so on. Extensibility is also important if you want to customize the way that the container behaves. Now, extensibility isn't something that you typically want to be using in a DI container, but there are cases. One of those cases is building event brokers. Event brokers are an interesting mechanism, and with DI containers you can make them in a declarative fashion, which is also very interesting, but it's an advanced use case. It requires a lot of understanding, and that's something that we'll see later on. And of course, the final part is that the AutoFac authors are well known. So the two principal contributors are Nicholas Blumhardt and Rinat Abdullin, who I've met personally on one of my evangelism visits back in the day. So that is another kind of motivating factor for me, at least. So the framework is mature, it looks really good, the website, the documentation, the source code, everything is, the API is obviously very nice. So that's what we're going to be using in this particular course.